You're such an asshole.
How you kids doing? And kids, I do mean kids because we have a high schooler, and every once in a while we do get young men, women asking me questions. And we will start off by this. It is outstanding you are asking me this question now because the number one determining factor whether you are successful in life is how early you get important information. You have no idea how happy I am that a high school young man is reaching out, because if we can get you to do things at 16, it saves you your life so you're not doing this at 61. And frankly, by the time you're 40, if you haven't gotten it together, you're not planning for your life. You're reacting to all the mistakes you made just to get back to zero. Ask any 45-year-old woman with her master's degree in sociology who still has student loan debt. You don't want to become that person. All right, so this young man has written, hi, Cappy, first-time customer here. I'm requesting a video. By the way, thank you for using paragraphs. I would like your advice and help. I'm currently 16 and a junior in high school and bored out of my effing mind. Yes. Did you get the book Curse of the High IQ? We'll talk about books later, but if you are that IQ, go get my book, The Curse of the High IQ. It's very important you do that. I've currently been teaching myself Trig, C++, and the Russian language, and have been developing an interest in genetic engineering for fun, also to stave off my apathy and boredom. At 16, I was not using words like apathy, which is good for you. I'm just pointing out you're probably smarter than the average bear. I have no friends or really social life. However, I do go out and do things and have tried to connect with people at and outside my school. I've been experiencing depression and some form of loneliness, even though I like my solitude. I know you mentioned IQ testing. I've read your book, Curse of the High IQ. Okay, good. Well, that's good. Let's start here. Do have the ability to acknowledge and realize when there's nothing wrong with you, and maybe not necessarily anything wrong with society, but that your depression, your loneliness, etc., is a function of something else. All right. You are very intelligent. You list your IQ here between 138, 143, officially tested at 143. You are so statistically rare in terms of intellect. You're going to be, frankly, you're just going to be lonely the rest of your life. Oh, Aaron, that's bad. Well, you don't know that. You're right. I don't, but there's a pretty darn good chance. There are so few people that have your intellect and are going to be able to keep up with your level. And yes, you're going to find the vast majority of things boring, like school. So depression and loneliness, I understand. And if you want to go talk to a psychologist or a therapist, I recommend histherapist.com, although I don't know you being 16, if you can. But for now, you and any young man or young gal listening, there are going to be instances in life where you are the statistical oddity. Nothing wrong with you. You're just really good at something, or you're really skewed in some way. And you're going to be, for lack of a better word, ostracized from the normal people. And yeah, you'll be lonely. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of loneliness does cause people to be industrious, or something, kind of like what you're doing. I loved and enjoyed the book, but never considered myself intelligent. I've taken the Queendom IQ test, scored around 138. I didn't think the test was accurate. I decided to drop some serious cash for my age. Yeah, it's 16, I bet. Men's IQ test, which scored me at 143. Yep. Everyone's like, oh, you just did the Queendom test. You're not really. It's like, no, that is a pretty accurate test. And I would argue more accurate than the Mensa test, because Queendom is open and available to the public, so they have a lot more data points to go on. I'm employed at a fast food joint and I effing hate it. It is so slow. Well, again, your environment sucks and you should hate it. If you enjoyed working fast food, something would be wrong. It's so slow and the people I work with are so effing pathetic and solipsistic. Again, a word I did not use when I was 16. They couldn't even get out of high school without 2 or 3 kids. Again, do you want to be the 45-year-old overweight lady with cats with student loan debt for a master's in social work? Also, do you want to be the high school graduate that has a kid already working fast food? Guys paying it? Huh? All right. I work 30 hours a week and can balance the work school schedule because it is a bleeping joke. I have no difficulty with it. All right. Let us also now give you another book to read. I don't have a copy of it here. Go pick up the book, How Not to Become a Millennial. And at 16, we're going to, I know you hate working fast food. You're going to hate every job you work at, unless it's like something working at NASA, which I wouldn't necessarily advise against. But all jobs suck. Watch my videos on that. But if you can, please go get the book, How Not to Become a Millennial. Go to the chapter on like your career is not the most important thing in life or something about the career. And read and understand what the true nature of work is. The true nature of work, and I'm summarizing it here, but it goes into more detail there, is that you give up a part of your finite, dwindling life, your time, which is all you have, and they pay you money. And the observation, the philosophical observation point I made in that thing is it doesn't matter what you do in that hour. It as long as it's not physically painful, like you're being tortured somehow, it doesn't matter what you do. Serving burgers, it's not fun. I'm sure it's somewhat physically demanding a little bit, but how is it any different than you taking tickets at the movie theater or slinging coffee as a barista or sitting at an office doing TPS reports or being a high-level engineer working on a computer? It's all the same. And unless you're like a micro dirty job where it's stinky and gross or actually physically painful, it doesn't matter what you do. And to help you avoid at the age of 16 the pain and frustration and anger and rage me and everyone else got until we got to this point, it doesn't matter what you do. Oh, Tina has her third kid from the fourth guy and she's 19 and she complains that she's talking a lot. Okay, so what? All right. Or you're looking at a mind-numbing spreadsheet, getting paid $250 an hour as a high-level accountant. So what? That hour you ain't getting back. It's how much money you make. And so to make your jobs from here on forward way more enjoyable, or at least not as angering or frustrating, as long as you're not in physical pain, it doesn't matter. So there you go. Although now that does make the point, and we'll lead on here, like why the wage, how much you make for that hour you sacrifice is the most important thing, but we'll get to that later. I do not have a father in my life and have turned to people in the manosphere for a father figure. I have no love or empathy for my mother and have become indifferent towards her. I do want to, okay, look, go easy on your mom, all right? Did your mom abuse you? Did your mom lie to you consciously, maliciously, I mean? Or is she just a dumb lady? I know it's a horrible question to ask, but you know, not everyone has an IQ like you do. Now, maybe your mom's really bright, and then there might be some responsibility. Like, why are you so smart and giving all this? But moms are more emotional. They're not as logical. I'm not saying forgive your mom for being a single mom or not having your dad around. I'm not saying you don't forgive your parents for that ever. They screwed up. But have a little empathy and compassion for your mom. If she did as best as she could. I'm not saying forgive either. But moms are a different breed. So, you know, if she's done her best, I know that is such a low. I know. I don't like hearing it. If you did her best, love your mom, make mom happy. Don't abandon her just yet. I do want to potentially have a family one day, but with current conditions of the world, I'm afraid I'll never be able to. That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. And until you get stable, meaning not working fast food, yeah, I recommend not having kids just yet too. Anyway, I would appreciate and demand your brutal honesty and advice, even though, to be honest, you're not that harsh. Do you have any advice for employment prospects? Am I effed if I quit after 5 months? How can I? Well, what, fast food? No, it's fast food. How can I make and find genuinely interesting friends at my level? You read the book. The answer is you don't. I'm going to get to that later. What can I do to survive the collapse in the commie idiocracy and free belief Spurgouts. It's starting to stress me out. I've been looking into Russia, Singapore, and Alaska. Are these places a good starting place? I apologize for the long request vagueness of it. No, dude, you're spot on. All right. I'm going to take a holistic approach, like give you a general overall strategy given your IQ and where you are in life. And then we'll go through your individual questions. With an IQ like that, you really have to view yourself as being special, and not in an arrogant way, not in an entitled way, but you are special. You have the capacity to achieve great things. And by great things, I mean like you should be looking into things like becoming an astrophysicist. You could work for NASA. You could work in MIT or go to MIT. You could be the next Elon Musk, although he required daddy's money and government money to subsidize. So let's choose somebody who's really more cool. Tony Stark, although he inherited from his father. So we need to come up with anybody. So Vanderbilt. Okay, there, Vanderbilt. So everything is on the table for you in terms of what you want to accomplish and achieve. You could also just as well take a very relaxed kind of hermit life and chill out. You don't have to become Jeff Bezos. You don't have to become Bill Gates. That's up for you to figure out and decide what you want to do. But you have an IQ and an intelligence that will allow you to do what is otherwise hard things much more easily than the average person, and you could be highly compensated. And if you could be highly compensated for an hour of labor, it is going to make things a lot easier. So if you haven't read the book, please get the book. I'm going to give you a lot of stuff to read. It's going to help you out, okay? Get the book Worthless, The Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major. And then you need to spend time. This is very important. Not just reading that book, which won't take that long. You then need to spend time to figure out what field you want to go into. That could be something as simple as the trades. I don't want to be a physicist. I don't want to be Bill Gates. I just want to read my books and be left alone. There are geniuses who do that. They don't, because you don't owe the world your genius, by the way. You don't have to create Microsoft. You don't have to create vaccines. You don't. You don't owe the world anything, all right? So if you just want to chill out in a beach in Thailand, cool. All right, but you need to figure that out. So part of your job, you go to school. We'll get to that. You do your obligatory prison sentence there every day. You then go work fast food. Okay, but then another job you should do is sit down and research. Do I want to become an electrical engineer? Do I want to become a programmer? Do you want to become an astronaut? I think one of the best things you could probably do is join the military, because you'll get free food, clothing, shelter. If there's JROTC, JROTC, Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, I'd look into that. That I'd be doing tomorrow. Monday, you go look and see if there's JROTC. JROTC. Because it's a big request to ask a young man or woman, 16-year-old kid, hey, research what you should do and figure it out now, and I'll set forth your path in life. So this could take a year for you to figure out. And it could take multiple years. Most people never figure this out. They just die at 85. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Take the time to figure out what you want to do. And the answer is not going to come after a night of looking this up. But what you can do in the meantime to help you figure out what you want to do, because you don't know what you want to do, the military is a great place. Free food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, insurance, and tuition. And if you want to ace the ASVAB, that's their entry test. It's kind of like their SAT. Please ace that. You can ace. You got yourself an IQ. Please study for it, prepare for it, and ace it. Then you have the entire United States military as, I wouldn't say a resource, but an opportunity to do whatever you want in that area. So if you want to go into the Space Force, you could. If you want to become a mechanic, you could. If you want to become a Navy nuclear engineer, there's a program there for that. That's very demanding. You could do that. The point is, it's a big task to ask essentially a 16-year-old boy, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Now plan it out. And a great place to go to figure this out is not college, but the military. So you kind of figure out, okay, and there's a lot of toys they got that you could tinker with. And then as you're in the military, maybe take some classes for free on the military's dime. Oh, I'm going to try physics. Oh, I'm going to try aerospace engineering. Oh, I'm going to try programming and computers, which is kind of what you're doing now with programming C++ in Trig. And then, inevitably, the more and more classes you take and you sample the experience you get, it's going to become clearer and clearer to you what you'd like to do. And as long as it fits within the confines of the book Worthless, like basically you get paid and you're not a 45-year-old washed up sociology master's candidate who needs everyone else to pay more in taxes so she doesn't have to pay her own way. You're like coming out of the military. Let's just say you did your 4-year stint. All right, so you come out at 22. Oh, wait. If you did ROTC, when did you go? Then you have to go. No, you go to college first, then you go in at 22. But all right, let's say you come out 25. You're still a very young man. You're 25 years old. You have no debts. You probably got some money saved up. You got a great college degree behind you. You got some work experience in a field you like. You're golden. You are freaking golden. And whether you want to become a Jeff Bezos or a surgeon or a Ben Carson, I think he was a brain surgeon, or you want to become an academic like Walter E. Williams, who unfortunately passed away, or you just want to chill out and do nothing. Heck, you might even like the military. You're just a born killer going to special forces, all right? But that path you have to take to explore and figure out where you want to go, mandatory. Everyone has to go through that path. Most people try and skip it. Like, oh, I like children. I'm going to major in child psychology and education and never leave the school system. From 5 until dead, I'll just stay in school. There's a student or a teacher. Why does my life suck? Right? But that is a path you have to go through. It's not good. But spend the time now. Look up Matt Chan's channel. I think it's still up. What's like to do different types of jobs. But that's what you got. That's the main thing for you to do. But I would also ask you to entertain this. With that high level IQ, you can literally do anything. You're one of the few people, as much as I am against higher education, because basically a waste of time. If you do it in the right thing and with your IQ, you are a perfect candidate for like a PhD in some legit field, not the social sciences, not history, not art, not philosophy. I'm talking the serious stuff like Oppenheimer, Manhattan Project, math, physics, engineering, chemistry, although I wouldn't advise chemistry, chemical engineering. But then you get a bachelor's degree that's imminently employable, computer programming, computer engineering, something like that. And then you go work, you're in the military, whatever you want to do. But then from an intellectual standpoint, and here's where we're going to get back to your socializing. If you're going to have any quality of life, you need other humans in it. And unfortunately, for really smart people and really dumb people face this too. There's so few. You're almost going to have to go get a PhD, not for any career or financial reasons, but just to have a social life and to have peers and to be intellectually stimulated. I've often thought about going back to college to get a doctorate in economics until I realized most people who have their doctorate in economics are true freaking morons. They're high IQ. They're actually one of the higher scoring IQ, but they're so far removed from the real world. I mean, like, is it more money again? Is your solution more money? Oh, okay, let's just print off more money. Oh, I'm sure glad you got your doctorate. Wasted IQ. But I would be looking at physics. I'd be looking at medicine. I mean, you'd be a great candidate to be a medical doctor, not a fake doctor because you put a PhD in front of your English doctorate. Like a real doctor, someone who contributes to society. You have all the potential you want in the world, right? And I'm saying you are almost going to have to go get a PhD of some kind after spending some time in the real world and getting a real job and all that as an intellectual, enjoyable endeavor. It's just I wish someone would have came. Oh yeah, you're really smart. Well, I'm not that smart. I only got C's. Yeah, but you see, The reason you got those C's because your teachers are morons. And I cannot emphasize that enough. School is not where smart people should be. And we'll get to that later. But that is your overarching overall goal. Okay? World is your oyster on this one. And you're going to have to do the work, but you're already accustomed to doing that because you're self-teaching yourself C++. But if you're looking for purpose, belonging, and reason, you're going to have to get into that vein of society for super smart people. So top scores on the ASVAB. Consider joining high-level military. Get in with some really smart people somewhere so you're with your people. And then your career, as long as you put in hard work and major in the right thing, or it could even be the trades, that will kind of take care of everything. All right, now we got a general overall arc. We kind of give you a bird's eye view of what you're capable of. Let's go through your individual questions. Do you have any advice for employment prospects? Read Worthless. You might want to read Bachelor Pad Economics, though I guess that's not necessary. But you just don't want to major in easy things because they're not easy. Okay, I'd be going, high level STEM, engineering, physics. Don't do economics. Just don't. Computer science. So there's that. But if you're asking about employment prospects now, you're a kid. And as much as I appreciate your hard work ethic, working fast food, dude, I would drop down to like 15. I drop down to 2 shifts or 15 hours, 16 hours a week and take the other time and start researching different fields. Because you teaching yourself C++, heck, here's another thing to add. Employment prospects, something else to consider. If you are a physicist, let's say you're a surgeon, all right? You got to be there, man. And if you want to have total freedom and travel the world, like you don't like the United States, you don't like communism, you don't like this parasitic society we're in, and by the way, if you become a highly successful individual, people are just going to live off of you. That's just how it is. All those people who are going to major in education I need more of your money to act like a teacher. Yeah, they're going to come for your money. So one thing you may want to also factor into your employment prospects is location independence, which would then channel you more towards things like computer programming, like you're doing now. Anything digital marketing. I'm trying to think. You get high enough up, or accounting, becoming a CPA. Any kind of service that can be rendered over the internet will allow you to live anywhere in the world, and you could avoid people burning down your buildings. You could avoid a wealth tax. You could go to a place that's more traditional. You say you want to have a family, you're a male. People are not conducive to a traditional family here in the United States anymore. Right? It's just not on the menu. And for a lot of young boys and a lot of young gals, maybe I just want to stay at home and take care of the kids. All right, well, that's likely not going to happen here. So you might have to go to a more traditional culture and find that. But you don't want to be going to a foreign country where you don't have working rights because the domestic people, the citizens, Uruguay. Well, obviously they're going to give Uruguayans hiring preferential treatment. And if you're a high-end surgeon, okay, we need a surgeon. Yeah, come on in. Brains are brains. We need a brain surgeon. Please come in. So that'll help out. But if you're, I'm kind of in this position, though I'd not recommend it. Okay, I'm an author, technically. I can do that anywhere. So and we've pointed this out before. If you derive your income from a first world nation, like there's some engineers I know who derive their income from Germany, but they live in Brazil, where the cost of living are much lower. Still nice standards of living, just cheaper. Some people like Asian cultures. They go over there. Some people are digital nomads. They just travel around. They go around. You come out of the military, you got the VA, meaning you got healthcare. You could just travel around the world as a computer programmer. Oh, it's going to get cold. Looks like I'm going to the Philippines. Oh, it's going to get hot. It's monsoon season. I guess I'm going to go to Norway. I don't know why you go to Norway, but you could go to Norway if you'd like. Oh, hey, everybody who looks the same, and you all eat fish and caribou? Oh, wow, yeah. Oh, fjords. Okay, all right, yeah. and sweaters. Great, great. So location independence, digital work, stuff like that. Factor that into your just for employment prospects. But for now, yeah, man, what do you pay? $10, $15 an hour, which is fine. I would be focusing more on developing your skills. Am I effed if I quit after 5 months? No, you're not effed. I'm hoping you live at home and your mom is like paying for food, clothing, and shelter. But if your resume is not going to be ruined if you quit fast food after 5 months. You being more cerebral, you may want to, now you're too young, you may want to think about working the night shift of some kind. And I don't mean at fast food, but working a job where you don't have to interact with the public. Right? This is why I work security at night and rarely during the day, because I hate people. It's just a pain in the ass dealing with people's stupid questions. But at night, there ain't no one around. Your boss ain't around, he's sleeping. He ain't there to like, it's like, it's just, you're alone. You're left the F alone. Ubering, delivering pizzas, maybe you could deliver pizzas. Over here in Vegas, it's $30 an hour, deliver pizzas. Now, I think that's a particularly desperate pizza joint. But yeah, if you want to be kind of left alone, deliver pizzas. There's another employment. Let's say you don't want to become Bill Gates. Go be a truck driver. You know, Reed Dilbert, the smartest man in the comic is the garbage man. And he's got a super high IQ, but he just likes delivering or picking up garbage because he's left alone. So that would be another little endeavor you could do, is maybe you work some kind of, I think at 16 you can deliver pizzas. Pick up the pizzas, you deliver, and then boom, you're done. And while we're at it now, you know, this is not going to be your lifelong career, but it is good to develop the skill of applying for other jobs and always be on the hustle and look out for other jobs. I'm pretty sure if you spent 2 hours of time at night, you could find yourself well, maybe not guaranteed, but you could find jobs that pay more for a 16-year-old. And so sit down, think, what can I legally do as a 16-year-old? And does it pay more? And is it less sucky than fast food? And I would logically conclude that delivering pizzas might be one of those things. How can I make and find genuinely interesting friends at my level? Like I said, you're going to have to go to where the smart people are, which means high-level academia. And just so you know, even in the STEM fields, it's less, but it's still majority socialist, leftist. We need more of other people's money. How about you work for a living? But I am on a government grant. That's not working for a living. I study ants with $100,000 grant from the government. Oh, you mean the taxpayer money? No, the government. Never mind. And interesting friends, man. Yeah, you're going to have to get out and put yourself out there and lower your expectations. I'll give you a perfect example. Like I signed up for this elite hikers group in Vegas. And it's like the 52 peaker club. And they do 52 peaks, like a deck of cards. And I literally signed up, I think, 2 or 3 days ago. And already I'm getting spam email from the guy. I'm like, dude, can I just go for a hike when I feel like it? And now I'm already getting spammed. And it's so normie conforming. It's like, come on, man, just can I just show up and go for a hike? I won't even talk high-level economics. I'll just sit and tell me about the pointy-haired throne of games chair throne show. Tell me about the Squid Game. Tell me about OMG dog park stuff. Am I right? No, I got to get hit up with a bunch of emails I never asked for. But just to get out, I've always enjoyed ballroom dancing. You know, that'll eat up your time for about 5-6 years. But it's, you know, friends at your level, very few, man, very few. What can I do to survive the collapse of the commie idiocracy and free bleep spurgouts? What you may be interested in as a hobby, learn about solar power and wind power, set up electrical grid, learn how to prep, learn how to dig your own well. Carpentry would be something like that. But the best way is to go to a country that went through communism and don't like it no more. A lot of that is Central Europe. You may want to also consider other countries where their culture is stronger than their economics or their politics. So Asian cultures are pretty stable. Um, you know, I'm not as, I don't think I'm as smart as you. um, and so and I'm going to be going overseas to look at different countries. The countries I'm looking at are going to be second world, in part because they're also warmer. But people are like, oh, you'd really like Korea. You'd really like Japan. I'm like, I don't think I'd fit in there. I'm just not that smart. What I mean by that is I went to Switzerland. It was way too clean, way too rigid. I need a little bit of a vice running around. I need some topless girls on the beach running around. South Korea, phenomenally successful, especially compared to its northern neighbor. But they just seem so church. It's like, does anyone have fun here? And so I think maybe you might want to check out Singapore, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea. You may be that, not necessarily rigid, but that high IQ, that those are your people. Now, of course, you're socially you'd be somewhat ostracized because you'd be considered gaijin or gaijin. Talk to Modern Life John about it. But that might be a culture you go take a look at. Don't go to China because they're technically fascist, not communist, even though it's technically the Communist Party, but we won't bore everyone with details of economics and politics there. Your teachers taught you that, right? Your economics teacher taught you the difference between fascism and communism, right, boys and girls? Right? Your teacher, right? Or was it all just Trump bad? So you're going to have to go to where you've heard was it Heinlein? Good men create good times create weak men, meaning socialist, leftist, parasites. Weak men create bad times, Soviet Union. Bad times create strong men, the 90s Yeltsin revolution. Good men create good times. And now you take a look at Russia, their fundamentals are actually incredibly strong. Eastern Europe is actually doing very well too. But you got to go on that cycle to where you have the end of bad times where the good men are being formed so you can enjoy the good times that come afterwards. And then hopefully die right before the weak men are being born. That's kind of how you'd like to do that there. It is starting to stress me out. I've been looking at Russia. Not a bad idea. You're learning Russian. Horrendously corrupt, though. However, I would strongly recommend you travel and visit Russia first before you consider that. Talk to Troy Francis. Hit him up with an email. Tell him I sent you. Singapore is good, and Alaska. Alaska would not be a bad place either. You could check that out as well. Are these places a good starting place? You need to go and travel a lot, which the military will help with, to figure out where you belong. I've not been to Singapore or Russia. I don't know. I've been to just the tail of Alaska. It's very much like Western Canada, interestingly enough. But I don't know. I can look at these places on paper. As a sovereign analyst, I used to analyze countries. I could tell you their fundamentals. But I don't know if it's for you. I mean, Singapore is probably the best country in the world right now, but you may hate crowded cities. So Dubai, Hong Kong, and Singapore are all off the list. You may love Romanian culture, but you may hate their winters. So you're going, and unfortunately it's work, man. You're going to have to go and travel. It's kind of fun to do that. And you're young, but you don't have the money. But get to now see where it all comes together. If you're a computer programmer and you're self-employed because you set up some kind of programming business on the side, and now you make money coming from first world nations, but then you could travel all around Europe, all around Asia. Now you want the answers at 16. Most people, you wouldn't even be able to execute on this until you're 30. And that's going to include 14 years of hard work, military, study, entrepreneurship, hustle, and a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of traveling, a lot of research. And then I know 30 seems forever away. It's not, trust me, because you still got like 50 years left to live. You play your cards right, you're golden for the rest of your times. And then getting back to your family, like to start a family. If you find out where you want to live in the world, you have a good recession-proof skill, war-proof skill. You're in a good country with stable finances and not hatred for the productive people. And you're rewarded and you're allowed to keep the majority of your labor. And you're in a country where it's traditional, or at least the sexes are not weaponized against each other like they are here in the United States. And girls like guys and guys like girls, and nobody's morbidly obese because they're all adult enough to, oh, by the way, stay in shape. If you're wondering, hit the gym. If you're wondering, you want a family, make it so that you're attractive to other women, just so you know, okay? But you're in a country where I'm not kidding. I can even show you the spreadsheet. I have looked, among other variables, I look at the obesity rate. Because I don't want to, and now I'm not chasing after girls no more. Not that I'm chasing after guys, but I'm not chasing after girls. I'm done. I retired. But I'm sick and tired of looking at fat people. All right. At the Walmart over in South Dakota. Right? I'm just, there is no pride in American community anymore. You go out, everyone's fat. Everyone's wearing schleppy clothes. I want to go to where the people have modesty, where they have pride in themselves, that when they go out, they put themselves together. I'm not saying like on a runway fashion show, but a pretty good ballpark is to say, do you watch your weight or do you get fat and slovenly? And so that is, you want to really quickly whittle it down. I think Statistica or Nation Master, these are statistic sites on different countries. That's a great place to start to come up with a list of places you want to go and check out. Are the people sane enough to know that big is not beautiful and that to attract members of the opposite sex, you must be somewhat svelte or in shape? That's a great starting point to go. It has nothing to do with economics. But then all of a sudden you're 30, you're in, I don't know where girls are hot, Slovenia, let's just say. Maybe they're good looking, maybe they're not, I don't know. You're a programmer, you're a surgeon, you're a doctor, you're making 150 or 250 US. You're set, man. You're set, and you'll do a hell of a lot better than I did. A hell of a lot better. So there you go. There's advice for high school boys. Any super chats today? Nonstop trade, $2. Do you think you would listen to your advice as a teen? Yes, because I'd look at me and say, hey, aren't you me? Yeah, I would, because it would corroborate. Here's the thing, Trey. My advice, I would lead off with, school sucks, doesn't it? I'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, why? Well, the reason why is you're actually a genius. But school doesn't test you for intelligence or being a genius. It's just basically a place to send you because no one wants to raise you. You're here to be babysat. And the teachers are here to indoctrinate you and not teach you interesting things. Like, isn't it interesting how history could be very interesting, but they make it boring? Yeah. Well, so I would listen to myself. I would. Johnny New York, 50 Mexican pesos. Hey, Aaron Clary, I'm 35, retired in Mexico, no debt, net worth of 3 million USD, single. Should I buy a house or should I just rent? I don't know. I have to know more about your situation. But to the client, look, here's a guy, he's 35. He's a relatively young man. He's down in Mexico. He found Mexico to be his place. You know, we don't know what he does, but he obviously does something very important and highly compensated. He's doing very good. I mean, you got the money for it. You know, and I don't think you can own property in Mexico, can you? As an American? Although maybe you're Mexican, I don't know. Yeah, I need more information. I guess it would depend on your lifestyle, really. I mean, if you're just a bachelor, you ain't got no family, you know, you could own a house, but why? You got to maintain it. Alex Patino, a truck driving Latino agent in the field. He really is Dilbert's garbage man. He really is. Alex, look it up if you don't get that reference. $5. In case some of you didn't know, both ideologies, fascism and communism, are leftism. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for knowing that's the exact same thing, but it took since 1945 to slowly move fascism to the right to evil twin brothers. I always got a kick out of how the communists and the fascists in World War II were fighting each other. And the difference between communism and fascism, communism explicitly states that it owns everything. The government owns everything. Fascism is under the guise that, oh, it's private ownership, but the government's going to tell you what to do. And it's kind of like, ain't that kind of communism? Like, don't you effectively, if you got to tell me what to do, then I don't own my business. I don't own my property. And like, yes, but we're not communists, see? We don't own it. You own it. Yeah, but I don't really own it because you're telling me what to do with it all the time. Yeah, but you own it. See, this piece of paper, this deed says you own it, so you own it. So we're not communists. Like, no. I get a kick out of it. We're like, we have a capitalist economy in the United States. It's like, really? Because the government is like a 45% shareholder of all businesses because it takes 45% of corporate profits. Isn't that kind of like at least socialist? Like the government, well, they don't own the shares of stocks. Yeah, but they get 45% of the profits. Yeah, but they don't own the shares. Yeah, but they effectively are half owner of all corporations in the United States. Well, you're just ignorant. Oh, okay. Yes, but an outstanding observation, Alex. At least you know. But Alex, you can't possibly be smart. You're just a truck driver. Ew, grody. He just drives truck. Although Alex has sent a picture of his family. It's a very handsome, very pretty family. Your wife is smiling. You got your kids. All right, scrolling. That's it. Did I miss any super chats? Let me scroll again. Time to start. Alex Patino, drive a truck. Most pain will be your lower back. Fixable with stretching. No boss breathing down your neck. Listen to Cappy and have fun. Yep. There we go. The world, listen to me. Do as I say all the time. Ron Suarez, $5. Aaron, it hasn't been 2 years since I graduated high school. All the bros and hot girls are broke and pregnant. I know, man. It's the same thing happened in Wisconsin. It's just, it is so hilarious when that artificial environment goes away. Now, it continues on in college, but for those who don't go to college, like, that's it. It's over. I went to state for wrestling. Well, good for you. Was that your greatest accomplishment? Oh, it was. Hot girls all get pregnant. Amazing how that works. Oh, by the way, buddy, to the client, don't get a girl pregnant. Okay, just don't do that. And any young ladies who are tuning in, you're super smart. Don't get pregnant until you're married. Okay. Darak, new guy, $5. Please, Aaron, remove the woman's voice from their intros. Super annoying. Other than that, love it. It's supposed to be annoying. No, it stays. I think we're catching up. Nonstop Dre. But Cappy, the military is dangerous. Why not trades? You can go in the trades. Because working on skyscrapers is safe. I'd be curious about the death rate. Peacetime, military versus trades. Like linemen and oil rig workers. I have a feeling it'd be closer than you think. I think we're caught up. Did I miss any super chats? Let me know in the chat room. Rachel. What's Rachel? God, another girl. God darn it. You let one in, 1 billion of them follow. Jenny? Is there another girl? What's the... Oh, that's Johnny. All right, never mind. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, there we go. Questions, answers. Oh, the books. Let me get to it. So there's a bunch of links down below to any of you high school kids that might be tuning in. All right. A lot of those links are not going to be relevant. I'm just going to tell you to pick up a couple books. And I'm not joking. This is going to be a very bold claim. But when you think about it, it's not that bold. If you read these books, you will have more education than all of high school. All right. And I'm sorry. Let me get back to the client. One more final thing. If there's a way for you, son, to graduate out of high school early, like take classes advanced and get out of high school earlier, I would do it. I don't know if that's mean you got to go online, you got to self-school, you got to be an autodidactic, which you are. Look up the word. Please see if there's a way for you to skip your junior and senior years and just like, I don't know, test out with the GED, something, anything, pass, take all your classes, get it all done, do it online, see what your state has for options. It varies state to state. So there's that. But to help accelerate your education, there's a link to my Amazon. There's several books you have to buy. First, Worthless, Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major. Bachelor Pad Economics. That is for both men and women, boys and girls, even though it is dedicated towards men. That'll get your financial act together. Poor Richard's Retirement. Please get that book so you understand finances and retirement. It's vital you learn this earlier on. Don't be like these idiots that came up to me and want to teach you finance classes. I'm 58 and I decided to take this class because it's time to get serious about retirement. Like, you're never retiring. It's too late. You're 58. Enjoy working till you're dead. Start now. That book will explain it. And then how not to become a millennial. I could tell you everything to do what's right. I could go through all the details. I got a better idea. Something a lot simpler. How about we just look at what we told the millennials to do, what the millennials did, and then we not do that. And in that thick book, I go through everything that previous generations lied and misled to the younger people, the younger generations, about what they should do, and how the millennials ended up in the very unenviable and sad and tragic situation they're in today. And so if you would like to avoid that and frankly do the opposite and become very successful, that's there. If you don't have your dad, you don't have your mom, your parents aren't leading, go get that book. Go get that one. And that will, I can't guarantee it'll make you all millionaires. Don't worry, Joe Biden will do that with the printing press. Funny economics. But that'll give you way more guidance and leadership than what I could do right here, right now. So there you go. All right. Yeah, Bachelor Pad Economics, 5,000 worth of knowledge for $30. Yep. And that's it. All right, we'll see you guys later.